Okay, so we are up to Mishlei Chaf days. Okay, and this is gonna be a weird one. Al Tomar Ashalama Ra Kaveh Ladashem Vyoshalach. Want to try translating that? Anyone?
Where's the asnafta?
Asnafta. It's after Ra, and that's also where the end quote is. Al Tomar quote Ashalama Ra end quote. Rather Kaveh Ladashem Vyoshalach.
Don't say I will pay or pay back bad.
Okay, good. Yeah, I like payback. Don't say I will pay back bad.
I don't know what kaveh means.
Kaveh is from like tikva. Hope. Yeah, hope.
Hope, yeah.
Kaveh Ladashem.
Hope to Hashem, and He will save you.
And He will save you. Okay, good. We have no side on this. We have no Mitzustian on this. The Targum, I believe, is just a straight up translation. Lo semar ashalim bishta. Don't say I will pay back evil. Sacha lelakach v'yifrakinach. I think Sacha is just a straight up translation of kaveh. And then v'yifrakinach is he will. Well, v'yifrakinach. Yeah, no, that's also a straight translation. Hold on just a second. Yeah, so I just one point here, by the way, which I don't know if this is significant, but you notice there is one thing that the Targum does change, and it's a strange one. And you don't need to know Aramaic in order to know it, to spot it. And I don't know if this matters.
Hashem to Elokecha?
Yeah, right. So he changes. Actually, sorry. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. It actually is a significant change. So he changes. It's really two changes. He changes the Shem Hashem to the Shem of Elokim or Eloka, and then he changes it from non-possessive to possessive. Right. From just it doesn't. I mean, obviously, we never say Hashem, in possessive, but he changes to Elokach. So that is a pirush. Okay, so I retract what I said. So he says, hope to your God. What I was going to say is that it's interesting that he changes it at all because Targum has no problem using the Shem Hashem. There are many pasukim where he just, as far as I know, where it just says Hashem, like, for example, I'm just going to see if we have any recent ones. It's possible we don't, but I'm fairly confident that that's the case. But anyway, but Elokach is definitely a nuance. I don't know if it's going to matter. Okay, then I'll just read the English ones. I don't think it really adds much, and I think they're all wrong. Our score says, do not say, I will pay retribution for evil. Okay, so that's fine. Hope to Hashem, and He will help you. Yosha is not help. Okay, I mean, you can interpret it like that, but you can't translate that like that. Living Nog says, do not say, I will repay evil, but put your hope in God and He will redeem you. Okay. So also redeem is fine, but like we have another word for that is we have geula, right? Gaal. And then alter, I don't know where he gets it from, but that's not really a question with alter. It says, do not say, let me pay back evil. Hope for the Lord that He will give you victory. Okay. So I don't know where these guys are coming from. So we're just going to ignore them. Okay. So questions and problems here. And like I said, if I guess the more Mishlei experience you've had, the more you'll sense that this is a weird one. So if you could translate the feelings of weirdness into questions, then that would help us, or just questions on the text itself.
How are you paying back bad?
Okay, how are you? I guess planning to pay back bad. Yeah, right. Planning to pay back bad. Right. Yeah. Good. I feel like maybe we could. When you say how, do you mean like what is the guy thinking or proposing that he's going to do?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Yeah.
Seems like it's a problem of intentions rather than.
Okay, so let's convert that into a question, right? Yeah.
Why is it a problem to intend to do that?
Okay, good. So what is the problem with intending to pay back evil. In other words, is this only bad because it is a preparatory step to actually doing it, or is this pasuk focusing on the intent as an evil in its own right? Yeah. Okay. Good. Also, I think you're right, by the way, that it's talking about intent. It is interesting that it does say don't say, like it puts it in terms of speech, but I think it's just expressing like, your thoughts, like not like verbalizing it. Unless it is. I mean, we should ask that anyway. Let's do that. Okay, so I'm going to put that question first before yours. When it says al tomar, does it mean do not plan/intend, or does it mean do not verbalize? And I think there's a support in the text for reading it like it's planning, other than just the phrase al tomar. What do you think? I mean, I should just say, anyone think that one makes sense more than the other? Yeah.
Yeah, well, kaveh is
Yeah.
also like it's mirroring. So
Right, exactly. Yeah, as an opposite, it's a tighter opposite to say that it's an internal feeling, because you're not hoping out loud. I don't think that's even a verb, Okay. What else?
Question in particular to Mishlei being a book that's supposed to be more practical. What is
Yes.
the kaveh la Hashem, and then because you're hoping to him, he will save you? That seems to be like more hashgacha related.
Okay, good. All right, so let's break that down to 3 questions, maybe more, but we'll see. So what does kaveh lashem mean practically, right? In other words, like what is it telling you to do, right? And how do you do it? I'm treating that as one question. How do you do this? Okay, then what does it mean that Hashem will save you? Okay, and then the next question is, what is this doing in Mishlei? It seems more like a Tehillim thing. Okay, and that's what David Menway says, more hashgacha related. Like it seems to be more about your relationship with Hashem or his intervention, which it's not that Mishlei excludes that. It's just that that's not the typical route that Mishlei takes. Yeah.
And on the second part of the question, or the second
Yeah.
question, what exactly is he saving you from?
Oh yes.
It
Okay. Good.
seems that the
Good
bad
question,
is
yeah.
already existing.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna actually put that first. Okay, which is what is Sorry. Yeah, I'll add that. What exactly is Hashem saving you from? Okay. And when you say the bad is already existing, which bad are you referring to?
The bad that you're paying back.
Okay, right. So if it's the bad that you are paying, that you are, I'm just trying to differentiate this. Not that you are paying back, but that was done to you, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're talking. Yeah, that you suffered. It's already happened. Okay, and if it's the bad that you are planning to retribute, is not a verb. Right, to deal to enact. Yeah, okay, fine. To enact, he's not saving you from that. You are, by following this pasuk. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that carves out what bad it must be referring to. But it still requires some work. Okay. Is that it? I feel like there's one question that is going to be has to be like overarching this whole thing. What situation is this talking about? Okay, in other words, what is the ra that was done to you? And the reason I'm asking that is like, are we talking here about are we talking about an actual injustice? Are we talking about a subjective harm? Does it matter? Right? Does it matter what we're talking about? Yeah. And then there's a question which I'm not even gonna write down here, but it's just one that I feel like Rביnu Yona emphasizes a lot, which is you don't need Mishlei to tell you stuff that the Torah is already telling you, and we already know they're not supposed to take revenge. So how? Maybe I will write this. Okay. What is what does this add? Let's say, what does this add to the Torah's prohibition of lo sikom, because right. In other words, the Mishlei doesn't need to repeat it. Obviously, it's adding the part about the kavelet Hashem v'yoshalach, but I'd like to understand like the interlocking nature of the taryag and the pasuk. Okay, I think that is probably it.
Can also ask who the audience is.
Yes. Yeah. So, who exactly is the audience? Okay. Now we know it's going to be someone who was done Ra. And what kind of Ra we'll have to find out. And we know it's someone who is tempted to pay it back. And then we just need to know specifically, like, is this all cases of that type of person, or is it a specific case? You know, it's weird. Here, my intuition is telling me that this really should be classified as part of the question of what is the situation, what situation is it talking about? It's not that it has to be, but I feel like that's going to be part of it. Okay, so let us take a moment to think. I'm going to delete this Targum Ksuvim for now. I really need to bring up the, now that we have a screen, I need to bring up the screen so that we can have the questions on here so people here can see. All right, let's think. I was going to say this at the beginning, but I'll say it again here. So, because I don't think you know this, and I don't know if David knows this, that last year, for the first half of the year, I prepared for this year, and then a request was made that I not prepare for it, so that there could be a more organic exploration and methodology, and like that there's gains that you make from seeing approaches that fail or go to dead ends and then working them out, and we're making the grounds more fertile for that by me not preparing. So this one I don't prepare for. So just FYI. So if it looks like I don't know what I'm doing, that's not faking it. That's I actually don't know what I'm doing. Yeah.
I have a thought.
Hey.
Should I give it another minute?
Yeah, just 1 second. We're gonna do something weird. Okay. We just finished the here. Sit over here for a second. We just finished the questions and no, the pasuk and the translations, and we're thinking. So I'm gonna actually, I know we're on Zoom right now. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna pause this as long as someone reminds me to unpause it. Hold on. Pause recording. Resume recording. Okay, so what is the Ra that was done to you? Yeah, what type of Ra, right? Like for example, monetary, emotional, like, you know, actual, like bodily, you know. Yeah. Okay, good. All right, David, what was your thought?
Okay. Yeah. So I had a thought. It's actually more like a Stoic Jew perspective on it, if anything. Okay. But and I was also thinking about it in relation to Gamzula Tova. But okay, if there has been some Ra that has occurred to you, if you're going to then say like, oh, this is a Ra that's happened to me, and now there's something bad, and now I have to go back and pay this bad. Now, feelings that you've done in the Gamzula Tova, you haven't been Kavela Hashem, you've been like assuming that this is bad, and now you're taking this as bad instead of like taking a perspective that, or trying to see what is the good that has come to this for you. Okay. And there's also the, like, whatever harm that has happened, if you're going to then like say, oh, this bad's happened and now this is a bad, then like you'll shoot yourself that second arrow and say this is a bad, instead of working with it and then trying to take something of good from it. Okay, so your approach has convinced me that your original question of who's the audience should be listed as a separate question. Okay, because there are varying levels of dealing with bad that even Mishlei deals with. Okay, that even Mishlei talks about. So, for example, like one of my favorite pasukim, which embarrassingly I can't quote right now because I can't remember. I remember one of my favorite Rבינו Yonas. I remember the Rבינו Yona, you know, talks about basically like there are 3 levels of vis-a-vis revenge in Mishlei. You know, there's the guy who takes revenge, the fool who takes revenge, like immediately, like some guy like, you know, bumps into him and he like punches the guy out. What was that? Instinctual and immediate, right? And then there's the guy who is erech apayim, who gets angry, but he's slow to carry it out because he knows that if he acts in anger, then number one, he's going to dig himself into a worse hole because he's going to bring about consequences. And number two, he's not going to have the greatest opportunity to take revenge. But if he like waits till he cools down, he can plot a much more long-term revenge. So he's still taking revenge, but he's just doing it
long term. And then the third guy is the person who overcomes the need to take revenge, either because he realizes it's not going to benefit him, or he realizes that philosophically it's not correct, or he has some sort of hashgacha thing going on. So you see that, and that's all in Mishlei. So you see that there are different levels of dealing with it, of dealing with the desire to take revenge in Mishlei. So what David's suggesting is like, this guy the guy who is tempted to take to pay back evil with evil is making a mistake in how he's relating to the thing that was done to him, and this pasuk is suggesting an alternative route. The question is like, how far is this pasuk trying to level the guy up? In other words, like is it fully taking him out of the realm where he's even viewing this as a ra? Like, is it, or is that too high of a level? Is it aiming lower? So I'm not objecting to anything that you're saying, David, in terms of the ideas. I'm just saying that it's something we need to be aware of because of the question you asked of like, how high are we aiming here? And we have to derive that from the second half of the pasuk. And before I call on you, Isaac, just David, were you saying an interpretation of Vyoshalach or not?
Yeah, I mean, my understanding then of what Vayoshalach would be toward the whatever saving is happening to you would be, and also much more grounded in the person then, of like he himself is not going to get like whatever harm that's happened to him, he'll be saved by this harm by not actually falling to it being a harm in the first place.
Okay, so you're saying, you are answering Sean's question by saying that the ra that you're being saved from is the harm that happened to you. In other words, something did happen to you and it's in the past, but you relating to it as a harm is a harm. And by you changing the way that you relate to it, that itself is saving you from that harm that occurred. Is that like what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm understanding it. Maybe that, but just
like, if not,
say
wherein is the difference? Because I'm just trying to understand what you're saying. I'm not saying my own idea. I'm not trying to say my own idea.
Okay, yeah. When you're saving yourself from your reacting to it as a bad and saving it from like passing a judgment that this is a bad, and then that itself will save you from a lot of harm.
Oh, so saving you from other instances of this in the future? I mean, other instances of this kind of harm in the future? When you say other harms, see, this time you switch to plural.
Yeah, okay. I'll try this again. But
okay, it's fine. And it's possible that you're saying multiple ideas. Like, I'm not trying to like pin you down and like, gotcha. No, I'm just trying to like understand what is being said, Yeah.
Okay, no, I see I'm not being clear either, but that you're being saved from the harm that happens internally from, okay, there's a practical or physical matter that happens, and that would be considered.
Can we work with an example here? Just, I think it would be easier to think about an example. So someone, let's say someone like, someone told me about this morning, that his, I don't know, car parts. Hold on. I want to use this example in case to help this person to think it through. The catalytic converter from under the car, who knows what that is, was stolen. Okay, which apparently is very bad and very expensive. Okay, so that's what happens. The catalytic car, whatever, was stolen. Okay, go on. Yeah.
Okay, so there's first off the practical bad, and now you don't have your catalytic converter, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a bad. Now,
how are you going to convert your catalytics? Yeah.
Right, okay, so then there's the way that the second thing is now the way that you react to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm evoking a lot from the shoot yourself the second arrow from that podcast, but
sure.
Then if you're going to say like have it now like a terrible day, you're going to say that there's a lot of like internal harm that's happened to you because of that.
Yeah.
That internal harm is more, that second one is more the one I'm understanding as around this pasuk that you are getting saved from.
Okay, so let me now spell out. We have three interpretations of Yoshalach now. So let me just spell them out because I think this is it. I think we have what was said now. Okay, so one case is your catalytic converter is stolen, and that is a ra. Okay, but by changing the way you relate to it, which we have to spell out what exactly that means. I mean, that's we're right now assuming that that's kind of what it means by kaveh alat Hashem, but we haven't really explained how that even has anything to do with the words. By changing the way you relate to that, you can be saved from the harm that would have done. Okay, just whatever that is. Okay. Second thing, which is very subtly different, which is what you're saying, is there's the thing that happened, which is harm to your property, but then there's also psychological suffering that you bring about to yourself from the way you relate to it, which is promoted by or anchored in the desire to take revenge. Okay, whatever. And you're saving yourself from that, from the psychological suffering that comes from it. And then there's the third thing, which I thought you were saying, but it's something else, which is this harm has happened, but if you change the way you relate to this going forward, you're going to save yourself from being subject to other similar circumstances in the future. So what we need to figure out the middle one was there's the physical thing that happens in reality, like to your body or to your property, but then there's the narrative of suffering and victimhood that you weave around it, which causes you even more pain. You know, like you can stub your toe, and there is an objective. There's an objective. Well, okay, my favorite example of this, which I know I've told before, but I'll say it again because this is the first time I ever realized this idea, is when I was in the dorm in my yeshiva days. Then I used to have a towel that I would. There's the drawers that open and close like that. I know in New York you say drawer, and I would like hang the towel in the drawers, and then one day, and I had done this for years. Like it's a very simple physical operation. You hang the towel in the thing, and you close the thing. I slammed it, and I slammed my finger in the thing. So my first reaction was extreme pain and suffering, And then because I had been thinking about these ideas, this was not like a summoning up of ideas to like combat like the pain. It was just, I had literally come from a chavrusa. We were talking about stuff like this. So I realized I had this thought of how thankful I am that pain exists, because the basic function of pain is to alert you to the fact that something is wrong or that you're harming your body. And if you didn't feel pain, you would just break bones all the time and just not know about it, and like or get cut and like not realize it, or stuff would be going wrong that you ate, you'd be eating stuff that is poison and like not have no reactions. So pain is unpleasant, but it is good. And I was just thinking about that, the thoughts of that hit me, and what happened is my fingers still throbbed, but the narrative of suffering had been overshadowed by the gratitude for there being pain in existence, and it being a good thing. And like, so that's the type of thing that David was saying, is that if you can suffer a bodily harm or a property harm, and that is a harm, okay, but then when you're like, oh, like I why do people have to be so mean? Like, why does this have to happen to me? Like what am I going to, all of these other narratives of suffering, are going to be added to that. And that's really where the most pain comes from. And David was referring to this idea, the second arrow, which is that if getting shot by an arrow hurts, and if you get shot by a second arrow, then that also hurts. The first arrow, though, is the stuff that happens to you that you can't control. And the second arrow is the narrative that you weave about the pain and your relationship to it, and and the injustice of it. You can't prevent the first arrow, but you can prevent the second arrow. So if we're going to pursue this, which I guess the floor is still open, but if we are going to pursue this, the question now has to be, what does it mean hope to Hashem? And the thing that is making me again, this is not an objection, a hard objection to your idea, David, but like thing that's making me question your interpretation is hope to Hashem. First of all, it sounds like it involves Hashem, and it sounds like what you're describing could be done like in the solitude of your own mind, So we have to account for that. And secondly, hope does make it sound like there is an expectation of something that has to come from outside that you're not in control of. I hope this will happen. Or I hope for this. It doesn't sound like something that's entirely in your control. Yeah, Isaac.
So I just have a thought about the dichotomy of paying back bad and saving you.
Yeah.
So unless I missed that someone already said this, I think so I was just thinking that when you're suffering from a bad,
yeah,
you're not, and you want to like pay it back. Your goal isn't is usually not to, or at least not exclusively, or I say your goal is not primarily to hurt the guy back. Your goal is to not be in pain anymore.
Is that true? When you pay back bad? I mean, I feel like so many of these cases.
I think it's you want to make sure that you're not in pain again.
Okay, that's different.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, yes, yeah.
Okay, right. So as a deterrent, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like someone, let's say someone stole your
Catalytic
converter thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Catalytic converter. So you want to go beat him up so he never does it again.
Right.
And so it's saying like, I think when saying that he will save you, that's like really what the end goal is. Okay,
I see what you're saying. Meaning, okay. So, all right, I was going to say, okay. So I objected to your first statement, but I agree with the approach you're taking to the pasuk. I think right now, because I was going to say, I think a lot of times the primary thing on the revenge taker's mind is justice. Like not objective justice, but it's like a totally ego justice. Like you hurt me, you can't hurt me. I'm gonna hurt you back. And then there is a practical dimension of I'm gonna make sure this doesn't happen again. But sometimes. But I feel like that's not at the forefront of a person's mind. Like I was actually I had just watched this Netflix documentary about it's called Turning Point, 9/11 and the War on Terror. And it's about basically from 9/11 up until like last month, the whole history of the whole Afghanistan thing. And like clearly there was an element of when we got attacked, then we wanted to take military action to show that you can't do this to America and get away with it, in order to deter future terror attacks. That was clearly part of it. But clearly, a lot of it was also like, we're America and like, you can't do this. And like, we got to punish you. And like, and the evidence of that is we did a lot of things that had nothing to do with Al-Qaeda and like a lot of just just reactive, almost like tantrums, the wrong word, because tantrum is when you're angry. I mean, it was, I don't know. It was retaliatory tantrums. I don't know if that's a thing, So I think that usually that's at the forefront of a person's mind for revenge, and then like secondarily or as a rationalization, it's deterrent. Okay. However, I do agree with you in this pasuk that Hashem saving you means God will take care of it, so that you don't have to worry about that thing, the person victimizing you again. Now the question is, how does that work? Especially in a Mishleic framework. Because again, if you're talking about David Melech, who's Melech Yisrael and who's a tzaddik, then God does literally fight his wars for him in many cases. But if you're talking about like Shlomo Melech's, 15-year-old Mishlei student who's like not on that level of hashgacha and he gets like bullied in school, is God really gonna like swoop in and like strike the bully with lightning? And by the way, this is also making me realize that as true as David's ideas, now I'm talking about David Lichter's ideas are about the suffering thing, the focus on revenge has to be prominent in the way we approach this pasuk, because that's what it highlights, and that's why I don't know if you saw, I slipped it in there, which David didn't say. When he was giving his idea, I said that the desire for revenge anchors you in the subjective harm, psychological suffering, victimhood mentality. I was like being Dan Lekaf's chus that's how the pasuk is talking about what David wants it to talk about. But I think that Isaac's approach is much more true to the pshat, which is it's talking about like the desire to take revenge. So I think we have to focus on what does it mean to hope to Hashem, right? That's where all arrows are pointing.
Why hope over anything else?
Yeah, why hope for over anything else? And then what are you doing when you hope to Hashem? Like what, where's, and is this true? Again, like, is this, well, we didn't list this question here. Yeah. Yeah. Hold on. Is this true? Yeah. I would have, if anything, I would have been more inclined that it should say trust in Hashem or rely on Hashem. And hope in Hashem is not disconnected with that, but it's just like, I associate hope with like, long-term stuff, like not immediate threats or, yeah. a tough one. Let's hope to Hashem. And here's okay. I don't know if this is a step disguised as a question. Okay, which is Kaveh Hashem v'yoshalach 2 steps, or is it the same thing? Is it that by hoping in Hashem, then He will save you? In other words, is it if you hope to Hashem, like, is it cause and effect? Like, hope to Hashem, and as a result of, if you have the correct way of hoping, He will respond by saving you? Or is the very act of hoping to Hashem, that act is an act that is the salvation? Like, let me think of an example that doesn't have to do with Hashem, just of this mechanism, just to clarify it. Like let's say, like, there are certain things that happen to you that that if you respond in certain ways, that'll bring about certain results. But then there are other things where if you just let it go, the act of letting go frees you from the suffering. You know, it's one act, it's one step, you know, as opposed to plant the seeds and then the seeds will sprout into salvation, you know? Like, is hope seeds that will sprout into salvation, or is hoping what saves you? You know what I feel like we need to not need to look into, but does anyone associate to a particular pasuk in Bereshis from the second half of this? This is bothering me. It's in one of the brachos to one of the shvatim. Yes, Lishwacha kivisi Hashem, right? So it's that associates teshua and tikva, right? Is for your salvation I hope for, you know. So I don't know if that's intentional. I mean, obviously it's intentional, but I don't know if Shlomo is pairing those 2 terms because there's some like intrinsic relationship between the 2 that is like reflected in that or not. So let me ask you a question. We have 10 minutes left before we're scheduled to stop for this morning. Do you want to continue just thinking about our own, or do you want to jumpstart our thinking with looking at some meforshim, and then we could always, you know, I mean, we're gonna have to come back to this unless like a miracle happens in the next 10 minutes. But what do you want to do? Okay, all right. So
I also have an incomplete idea I could toss out.
Yeah, you what?
An incomplete idea I could toss out, like if anybody wants to try to work from here.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
But with God being the one who's most just, and like he has like a complete system of justice that we really don't understand, and like all these things that seem unjust to us.
Yeah.
But like when bad things happen to tzaddikim and good things happen to Rishaim, I know it's like that was the question most Rabino asked and couldn't be answered.
I'm really distracted by Mango. I'm sorry. That sound is just like very
I apologize.
Yeah. Sorry, start again.
No, it's fine. So okay, so God has a system of justice that we cannot understand, right? That He, and a lot of things that to us we can't see, we can't understand, but God knows how they're working, and overall the whole system as a whole is working in its way of justice.
Okay.
So there is, when you try to take revenge on someone, a lot of what you're doing is you think that something has happened, and now you are the one that needs to come in to implement this justice.
Okay.
So this is where the thought's incomplete, because I don't know how this translates into the pasuk. But if you have this recognition, maybe I shouldn't even, you know what, maybe I won't say it further because I don't want to specifically walk down a road that I'm not sure. So putting that out there.
Okay. I mean, it's okay to walk down a road that you're not sure of. That's like what learning is. But I hear the approach you're taking, which is that there is this, if it were real, let's state it in the positive. If it were real to a person that the universe operates with justice, and that God will bring about the, you know, whatever justice is, so then you would not feel the need to take justice into your own hands, right? You would not feel the need to pay back Ra, and if you do, that says something about you, like that either you need a tangible Ra that you like can see, like the person get justice, or you need to be the one to bring it about. Some sort of immature way of relating to justice, you know? And this, just to point out, is different than what Isaac was saying, which is Isaac was putting the emphasis more on a deterrent and a saving you from future instances of harm, whereas David, you're putting it more in terms of the thing I was saying about like the need to enact justice, and I think both fit into the words vayoshalach, but yeah. Okay, so let's start. Our pecking order here usually is Metzudas David, because he gives us minimal interpretation. Bottom left, Ashalma Ra, Lamisha Pasha Negdi. I will pay back evil to the one who offended me. Labal Yosef Od, me Lifsho Abi. So he takes Isaac's approach, okay, which is so that he will not again wrong me, right? He won't do wrong against me again. So this is a deterrent approach. Kaveh. Okay, kavel Hashem, rather hope to Hashem, v'hu yoshialach miyad habaim lifshol bach. He will save you from the hand of the one who's coming to do a crime against you. Okay, so that doesn't help us in terms of explaining the mechanisms or answering our questions, other than clarifying the case. Okay, next we do the me'iri. Me'iri, actually, maybe, do we do the me'iri here? Yeah, look at the me'iri, right column, third down. Al tomar ashal ma'ra, kavel Hashem yoshalach. He'ora tori is. So this is a Torah lesson. Okay, that's what he calls. Meiri has all these categories of Mishlei ideas. Some of them are purely ethical lessons. Some of them are like augmenting Torah mitzvos. This is augmenting a Torah mitzvah. He'ara Torah is lihizahir ahanakima v'ahanatira. This is warning you against revenge and bearing a grudge. Okay, next page. Klomar al tomar bilvavecha o bificha. This means do not say in your heart or in your mouth. That's answering our the point we were raising, Sean, right? Is it just thinking or is it saying? So he's acknowledging both. L'shalim, we're on page Tavkuf Ayin Dalet. L'shalim ra l'mi sheheralach, to pay back evil to the one who harmed you. Aval kavei la Hashem v'yoshalach, rather hope to Hashem and he will save you. Ratzalam yoshiacha mimi she'ata yare mimenu v'yadacha al tiyebo, lo tiyebo. He'll save you from the one who you're afraid of, and he will not. His hand will not be against you. Okay, so once again, does not explain how it works. Okay, let's now do Rבינו Yona. Okay, go back. Actually, you don't need to go back to the other page. It's just 3 words. Al Yomar Ashama Rav Gomer Im Yazik Lecha Im Hizik Lecha. If someone harms you, Rבינו Yona Adam. If a person harms you, Al Tomar, don't say Enakem Mimeno. I will take revenge from him. Ba'avur sheyiru bnei Adam mihazikeni. So that other people will be afraid from harming me. Okay, so this is like the America thing. Of there's one thing where America gets attacked by Al Qaeda, and we want to show that they can't do anything to us. But then the real motive was no one can harm us. Like don't let anyone think that they can harm America and get away with it. Okay, Al Tamarkin, don't say this. Im asom tasim chaveracha asham chaveracha, because if your friend will incur guilt against you, lo hutar lach lachaton lama'an zos. That's not a matir for you to sin against him. Levad im hizik lecha benezek shnischayev l'shalom lecha bevestin, unless he harms you in a way, like Aaron was saying, that he's chayev to pay in beistin. Yishalem lecha al pia mishpat, and then he could pay back according to justice. Vasher ata yagur pentiye b'cha yad habrios b'riosam ki lo sikach nikmascha mehem. And if you're afraid that other people are going to see that you didn't take revenge, meaning, and you're afraid that other people are gonna attack you. Kavei Hashem yoshalach, hope to Hashem and he will save you. Ki achrei asher techta linakem miras Hashem yisalet. Once you refrain from taking revenge out of fear of Hashem, kavei elav v'yoshialach, hope to him and he will save you. No one so far is so. Rבינו Yona is giving us the greatest, most elaborate exposition of the case itself. Case is some guy steals your catalytic converter, okay, and you are tempted to take revenge so that other people don't steal your hubcaps, right, and your radio, okay, and other things, okay. So he's saying, first of all, someone doing harm to you is not a matir for you to do harm to them. The only matir you have is to take him to Beis Din and get justice. And if you're worried that other people are going to victimize you, that's where fearing Hashem by not taking revenge, by keeping the Torah or whatever, and then trusting that he'll save you from these other people. That's what you have to do. Okay. So we still need to know how this works. And we'll have to do tomorrow. Let's just see if anyone else has anything, because we've almost read all the guys. Let's do, okay, there's the, on the page that we're currently on, third of the meforshim down. So the Reish Aleph Beis Ayin is Rav Avram ben Ezra Ksav Yad. because it's the actual Ibn Ezra. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. We're on the second one now. Miuchas l'Rav Avraham ben Ezra. Kavel Hashem, sheyesh lo koach l'shalim lo gemul. He is the one who has the power to take revenge. V'yoshia lach miadam, and he will save you from their hand. Okay, fine. So that sounds like you're worried about the actual person who harmed you. Go back to the previous page. Just see if there's anyone else here. Yeah. Okay, you know what? Let's do this. Let's stop here for today. Let these ideas roll around, and then we'll come back to it tomorrow and see if we can develop these or find other stuff. Okay. All righty. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yep.